This horse came to me on the 25th of October 2022 from the capital of Mazuria, Olsztyn, Poland.
Ojej, a tu nic. Nie nic, tylko...
Nothing but Prince. His unboxing started at 3:33 p.m. He is my third purchase in October, the 33rd horse in the collection, and he came to me with only 3 horseshoes. The number that definitely haunts him is 3. Unfortunately, one of my lamps burns the image and you can't see the pink painted leg and other details well. As you can see, he has his ears, a lot of different artifacts. But what surprised me the most was his hair. It was very strange, it felt more like cotton than felt. It seemed to be quite delicate. Both mane and tail appeared to be of the original length. The tail seemed to be slightly shifted, and I have the impression that the part of it has already escaped somewhere. But there was no tragedy. The painting was worn in places, here and there, literally along with the plastic. On the lower left side of his belly he had scars from contact with something hot. The color changed to cream and sometimes even yellow, but I assessed his condition as promising. Now let's take a look at his artifacts. They are mainly discoloration of various shades of yellow, coloring with a pink crayon, damage to the surface of the plastic, especially the right nostril, the area around the left eye in front of the head, and quite deep wounds in the lower part of the abdomen on the left side. Also paint defects. I start by taking off the horseshoes. One last look at him before washing. Warm water with washing powder. I focus on thoroughly washing the plastic. While washing, I'll tell you something about him. You already know his name, Prince. He appeared in 1991. You can easily confuse him with the progenitor of the Arabian Barbie horses, the first horse in this shape, Prancer. Just look at the Prancer's packaging, isn't it similar? Not only they look similar, they had practically the same equipment. Here is Prince's packaging. It shows that he had a very similar bridle, saddle, and also a ribbon. In addition, Prince had horseshoes and a saddle pad. I only pre-wash his hair, I'm not going to comb it at this stage. Plastic is the most important for now. As you can see, Prince came in 2 varieties, with white and pink hair. I don't know if it was possible to predict which version you would get without opening the box, because on the box the horse had pink hair. After washing it thoroughly, I left it to dry overnight, and here is my whitening kit. This process is also called retrobrighting. Yellowing of the bright plastic from the 80s and 90s over time is almost inevitable. It is a normal aging process. The color change is most noticeable on white plastics. The same thing happens with old household appliances or computers. As a result of the contact of plastic with oxygen, a certain physical-chemical reaction occurs, breaking the polymer chains that make up the structure of the plastic. Oxygen attaches to them and forms compounds that reflect the yellow light that our eyes perceive as yellow color. This is nothing more than a plastic oxidation reaction. Heat and ultraviolet rays accelerate this process. Therefore, plastic items that are exposed to sunlight for a long time, for example standing on a windowsill, will turn yellow faster than those stored in a cool and dark room. First, I will make a mummy of the prince. I will wrap him in cotton cloths and cotton pads. Then I will press them with a bandage. When the whole horse is wrapped like a mummy, I gradually moisten it with hydrogen peroxide. The process of whitening plastic has its supporters and opponents. The latter believe that this process destroys the plastic, lowers the value of the bleached item, and accuse it of no sense because it does not stop further yellowing. Are they right? I try to see it for myself. Next, I wrap him in foil. I should have gloves on my hands. Hydrogen peroxide, even 3%, is very irritating to the skin. Though I tried to avoid contact with it, it reached my thumb anyway. At the end, I will tighten the compresses again, wrapping it very tightly with tape. It's been 5 weeks that the prince spent in such a package on my radiator. In addition, he was covered with quite a thick cloth to accumulate as much heat as possible. The bleaching reaction occurs best at the temperature between 50 and 70 degrees Celsius. My radiator reaches a little over 50 degrees when the furnace is working. The time has come to free the prince from this entanglement. I am very curious what the result will be. First, I remove the layer of tapes and foil. I am unable to find the end of this braid, so I gently cut the foil coating with a knife. I managed to remove the foil layer. Time for bandages, cotton pads and cloths. The compresses are still wet and for my own safety I should be wearing gloves, but I don't like gloves very much, so I'll have to deal with the burns.
Ja pierdzielę. Nigdzie, nawet kawałka śladu żółtego, nic. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, między nogami wszystko jest czyste. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
I'm going to release the hair now. Even though I tried to isolate them from the compresses, the moisture absorbed them anyway. They probably whitened out too. Didn't I tell you they would cry after exposing to hydrogen peroxide? Some dark spots appeared on the mane. I knew that washing and detangling the hair before bleaching would be pointless. So now I will take care of it. The hair is washed. As you can see, the stains on the mane disappeared, and there was no problem with them. It is still wet. I put conditioner on it, and I start detangling. Prince appeared in the Barbie journals harnessed to a carriage, which was an accessory sold separately. The carriage could be turned into a sleigh by changing the chassis from wheels to skids. Mane combed, time for the tail. I have to admit I was wrong about this hair. First of all, it is quite solid. The fibers did not tear or pull out while combing. They are not as thin as I thought. After all, it is a model from the early 90s, so it's not surprising that the fibers used are durable. Another thing I was wrong about was that it was so tangled. It didn't look tangled at all. And the third thing, the tail, despite its unevenness, was also solid, and I didn't feel that the fibers wanted to escape anywhere. The last point, this is a total waste of combing. After trying, the hair surprised me again. I didn't think it was so fluffy. It didn't pass the rinsing in hot and cold water because it looked quite good, and I didn't suspect that it would need straightening. So I warmed up my hair crimper and started another fight. I was taking pictures in the process. Bottom left, hair after treatment, top before. Mane after and tail before straightening. Time for wounds and scars. The deepest were at the bottom of the abdomen. The ones near the eye were also quite visible. And the abraded nose also disfigured him. At first, I was planning to sand these places with sandpaper. However, I had another idea. I stock up on the simplest tool for grinding nails, and that was a really good idea. Of course, the lamp burns the film, and you can't see much here, but I did quite well as for the first time. The set also included a felt tip for polishing, which I used to even out the surface. After sanding, I started to fill in the gaps in painting. For this purpose, I prepared acrylic paint in a similar shade, and in fairly large dilution I applied it in several layers. After the paint dried, I secured it with several thin layers of varnish. Now let's look at the places where there were wounds and scars. There were scars on his belly, and they are almost invisible now. There is no trace of scars around the eye. There were also some artifacts on the ramp. I polished them gently. The hooves are after painting corrections. After a damaged nostril, you can't see that it was damaged. The muzzle also regained its color. The hair can be combed with such a thin plastic comb, so it is in quite good condition. I also evened out the tail so that the protruding fibers would not tangle. The mane is no longer as fluffy as it was and also submits to a thin comb without resistance. It's time for accessories. From the beginning I assumed that I would recreate them in accordance with the original. The Prince came only with 3 horseshoes, but I had one pink one in the stock. They are in slightly different shades, as if the two are a bit lighter, but that's okay. Prince should have this type of woman's side saddle, but I don't have it in the right color. Therefore, I will borrow an English saddle from one of my horses from the Skiffon series. It is very similar, although slightly thinner and more delicate, but the color matches the original. It is my Blija's saddle and it's missing one stirrup, but it's on the side of the mane, so it's not noticeable. I recreated the bridle in accordance with the original. Instead of a ribbon with a jacquard decoration, I made reins from embroidery thread in colors consistent with the original ones. I used the macrame technique once used to create friendship bracelets. I limited myself to a simple striped pattern. The bridle itself is made of soft fleece and fastens with a velcro. saddle pad is made of the same material as the bridle. I recreated it in its original shape. In addition, I made 3 simple bows for his mane from the same ribbon that I tied on his tail. It's time to look at him in the light of a January day. Taking advantage of the moment without snow, I was able to capture him against the background of the grass. Let's recall what he looked like at the time of arrival and first compare with his condition just after bleaching. Now on the left we have the steed after whitening and on the right after sanding and painting. At the end, the initial state and the final effect. It was one of the longer videos, but there was a lot of work here. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Follow the channel, soon there will be another video about some interesting steed.